Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of opening traps that every beginner should know. Today we're going to be looking at a king's pawn trap, and as always we'll cover off what the trap is and how you can fall into it, and then we'll show what you should be playing against it so that you don't get stung. So do stick around to make sure you know how to play against this if it pops up in your own games. As always, if you're new to the channel, do hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know any content that you'd like to see in the future. So the trap here opens with pawn to e4, and then we get a Sicilian on board with pawn to c5. We have knight f3, and then d6, black signalling the intent to play the Najdorf variation. White now plays c3, which is more of a sideline. The most usual move here is to play pawn to d4 going into the open Sicilian. But white plays pawn to c3. Black now brings the knight out to f6, hitting this pawn on e4, and this is where white sets a sneaky trap. So there's a couple of ways in which to do this. The most common is to play bishop to e2, just developing that bishop, preparing to castle, and importantly, leaving this pawn on prise. The other way to set this trap is to play pawn to h3, a move which can be useful in the Sicilian variations, cutting off this g4 square from either the knight or the bishop. Let's say that white sets the trap with bishop to e2, and black falls into the trap now by taking this pawn on e4, a move which you often see at the beginner level. And the problem with this move is now you have queen to a4 check. And not only are you hitting the king, but you're hitting the knight on e4, so after the check is blocked, we then chop off this knight. And that's why you have to be careful of this c3 move, because it opens up this sneaky queen to jump out, give that check, and chop off the unprotected piece. So how should black play? Well, essentially, don't take that pawn off when you've got this exposed king here. So the most common move is to ignore that pawn altogether and actually play pawn to g6, preparing to fianchetto the bishop, and then bring the king to safety by castling kingside, so that from that solid position you can then start to expand in the centre. So anytime your opponent is offering you material for free, always check whether it's actually safe to take this. Especially consider, after that capture, will I have an undefended piece? Yes. And is my king exposed to checks? Yes. These are two of the big checkpoints that you need to look for when trying to spot combinations for either yourself or your opponent. And I did do a video all about combination tips, which I'll link on screen now. So I hope you found this video helpful. Do hit that subscribe button if these are helping you, and stay tuned for the next one in this series.